never had chicken for a friend in my life, and I've raised her. Now they got her in an abusive home, and I have pictures. You know what? The judge gave her back to me June 4th. Praise God. June 5th. June 5th. No, June 5th. June 5th, guess what? They knocked on my door. Family Charities knocked on my door. We're here to get her on. My granddaughter starts shaking. Beautiful spirit and soul. It's gone. I gotta get it back. Yanks her, okay? Away from me. Grandma, do I have to go? It's a court order, honey. You have to go. You know what they did? They all lied, and the judge believed them. They all lied to cover it up. You know what they said? They said these athletes, which only me, one, not plural, drove to get my granddaughter. 8 a.m. I didn't threaten the man. I had a very cordial conversation with this man. But you know what? They filed an emergency order that I threatened the man and my granddaughter was in danger. It's coming to an end. We want justice for these kids. Cornelius, may you rest in the arms of your beautiful mother. In the name of Jesus, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Is that on? There you go.
Reverend Edward Pinckney from Benton Harbor, Michigan. I want to tell you a little story before we get started because people have to understand where we're at and what we're doing. You know, I was flying in from San Francisco to Chicago. And during the flight, the steward would get up and she made an announcement. She said, for if any reason this plane start to descend, start to go down, you ought to reach up and pull the mask down and put it on your face first. Not because you're more important, but because they may not be able to save you. That means if you have a wife, you have a child, you ought to put the mask on your face first. What we have done, we have put the mask on the wrong face. We have allowed other people to live, and we're dying.
That's right.
They're dying. They're killing us left and right. And we're allowing it. There's nothing worse than seeing a child that's 16 years old murdered. Nothing worse in the whole wide world.
That's right.
When you think about a child that has been killed, saying, I can't breathe,
Thank you.
and you saying it's okay,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with you.
Right.
There's something wrong with you. You see, we have to start standing up for our children and our children's children. We have to make sure that we get this thing done. No more Fredrick around here who's going to die. We're not letting our children die no more. Say no more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
We are not allowing our children to die anymore. And we're going to have to stand up for them. We're going to have to let them know we got to tell the system no more. Because it is time. When you said no, when I said no justice, no peace. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No peace.
No-
No sleep.
That's
Let's
right.
say that. No justice. No sleep. No justice.
No sleep.
No justice.
No sleep.
No justice.
No sleep.
See, we have to tell them, and we have to show them, because they don't believe it.
That's right.
They do too.
They believe that they have all the power to do whatever they want to do. And if we don't stand up and say no more, it's going to continue just like this. That young man did not deserve to die. At the age of 16, his whole life is over. His whole life is over. We have to stop this. It could be your son tomorrow. It could be your daughter tomorrow. It could be part of you tomorrow. So we have to take a chance and start fighting back. I believe in one thing. That is to fight back. Can we say that? Fight back. Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Because if we don't do it for ourselves, let's do it for our children. We got young folks out here. They don't deserve to die. And we have an obligation, whether we like it or not. We have an obligation to stand up for our children. We have to tell the world that you are not going to kill my child. You are not going to kill my child. You are not going to kill my child. And that's final. I don't care what you say. You're not going to kill my child. Cornelius, you are going to live, because we're going to continue until we get justice.
Amen.
Until we get justice. Now here's something that you may have to help me with. I'm 70 years old. I have never known justice. I don't even know the definition of justice. So somebody is going to have to help me and explain justice to me. If there's anybody here who know what justice is, please tell me, because I don't know. I never known justice. I never known justice in my life. I never known it. Never known justice. So there's somebody here that knows what justice is, please identify it to me, because I don't know. I need your help. Because if we're going to get justice for Fredrick, we have to know what justice is. We must have the definition of justice. If we don't have the definition, we'll never know what justice is. I'm 70 years old, and I don't know what justice is. I never felt justice. I never tasted justice. So it's time that we take this thing to a different level. We need to fight and learn how to fight back. Can we fight back?
Yes.
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 No justice?
No peace.
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 No sleep? No justice? No sleep. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Will White, and I worked with Cornelius Fredrick when he was at Wolverine Human Services when he was in Detroit. For the ones who might not have seen it, you know, we had a candlelight visual for Cornelius. It was most unfortunate, and you know, I found out, you know, the incident happened Wednesday. I found out Thursday night. And it was right after I was talking to another staff member that I was speaking with. You know, she had found out, and so she was trying to make small talk before she actually broke the news to me, because she understood the relationship that me and Cornelius had. Like all of us, Cornelius was a troubled kid, but it wasn't because of his own situations. It was because of the cards that he was dealt in life. You know, with a dad not being in his life, and what most people don't know, which is a secret about Cornelius, is he had this thing where he felt like he was the reason why his mom had passed. Now, was it his fault? No, it was not. But as a kid that was not able to navigate, you know, everything that he had going on, and not being able to navigate the feelings and what actually happened and why it happened, he felt like it was his fault. So he dealt with a lot of torment and pain inside of his heart and in his mind that he dealt with daily. But the one thing about Cornelius is that he wanted to be loved. He wanted to be loved, and when I say he wanted to be loved, that means by any means necessary. So whether it was to go along with the other boys on the floor if they was doing bad stuff so he could feel accepted, that's what he was going to do. If that meant sticking up for his favorite staff because he knew his staff had his back, that's what he was going to do. like kids, all kids get into little physical altercations, but there were times where kids at the facility would, you know, they would have their days where they wanted to be disrespectful. And Cornelius used to come to my defense, and I used to tell him all the time, Cornelius, you know, I don't need your help. I'm grown. Thank you. I don't know. I got you, White. It's okay. I got you, Mr. White. I got you, White. He'd be like, Cornelius, no. And he'd be like, okay, I'm not going to do nothing. But by the time I come back the next day, him and the boy had already had a fight. And it was all because of, you know, the young man disrespected Mr. White. When he loved you, you know, and he loved hard. He was everybody's baby. And that's the reality of it. He was a kid that wanted to be loved. That Wolverine, he did whatever he could to make sure he was in good graces. Wolverine Human Services was the first residential treatment facility that he was in when he left from his family's care. And so he was there for a couple of years. So he was like the first real authentic Wolverine kid that everybody knew and loved. You know, everybody had their bittersweet moments with him, but it was like, you can't do nothing but love him, because that's all he really wanted. When he was acting out, all you had to do was talk to him in his room, and he'd tell you what was going on. He used to think that nobody cared about him, nobody liked him. It was a lot of stuff that he went through, and there was a lot of stuff that he did, good and bad, but he didn't deserve this. By far, he didn't deserve this, and it's unfortunate. And we want to bring justice, and we have to fight back, and we have to stop the brutality, but we also got to, you know, scan our own hearts to make sure that we're not causing brutality in our own homes with our children, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Because that was one of the things that he suffered from. He was not able to speak out a lot. He wasn't able to express himself, and it was because of how people view expressions, or he was a kid, so he really didn't know what he was talking about. But we have to have, from our own hearts, we have to have an ear to hear. And we have to see through all of that. So it was a lot of times, I already knew that when he was disrespectful, he had stuff going on. So I have to, as my role was to bypass the outward expression and go to the inner man and try to figure out what was going on the inside of him. And I believe that from the situation at hand that happened, I don't know because I was not here, but I can guarantee you a sandwich was not grounds for a restraint. A sandwich is not grounds for a restraint. Even during a fight, you're not supposed to restrain until one cannot be de-escalated. So once you break up the fight, you don't have to put a restraint on anyone unless they can't be de-escalated. And it's not supposed to be a one-man restraint. And for the simple fact of a person saying, I cannot breathe, regardless of if you think that they're faking or not, you don't get to make that call.
That's right.
And so it was a total injustice, and it was something that should not be looked over.
Right.
It's something that should not be subdued, or, you know, it should not be something to push to the side, because this was a serious thing. He was a kid, 16, 17, 18. He was a baby still. He was still a baby. And, you know, when we had the candlelight for him in Detroit, we had a lot of the boys who were at Wolverine with him that got a chance to spoke out, and they were genuinely hurt. Most of them he had physical altercations with, but they recognized that they was brothers, and that's how they dealt with what they had going on, but they stuck together. They recognized, and just like, you know, I don't want to, I'm getting a little teary-eyed behind my glasses, but his life was not supposed to be cut short here, and it's unfortunate that he never got to experience what the finer things of life that had to offer, you know. And when you're in a facility that's supposed to help you, and that's supposed to nurture you and progress you and guide you and train you up in the ways that you should go, something like that should have never happened. So there's obviously something wrong here at the facility. I won't speak ill of everyone who's working here, but what I will say is somebody's out of whack with the alignment of what the original purpose for this location is. And it's unfortunate. And I hope if the individuals are watching, from Lakeside all the way up to the people who are in charge of making sure that we get justice for Cornelius Fredrick, I hope this pricks your heart, because it was unfortunate. It was a horrible thing to see. It's a horrible thing. This picture hangs in my room. Every day when I get up, I look and just can't believe. I'm still in shock that this young man does not have his life at 16 years old. We are here to protect and train our youth, not kill them, not abuse them, not throw them to the wayside, not degrade them. We are here to make sure that they live out the full purpose that they are called to be. And he was unable to reach that purpose because his life was snuffed out. So I thank everybody here. You know, It touched my heart when Miss Cole, I don't know where she is. Oh, hi, Miss Cole. It touched my heart when I found out the people in Kalamazoo were still trying to get justice for Cornelius. It was something that, you know, I can't be here every day, or if I could, I would be out here every day until something changed. I would be at every city council meeting. I would be trying to meet everybody I can if I could, but I stay 2 hours away, and I have other obligations. But I know one thing, it wasn't meant to be, and unfortunately, it has happened. But I thank everybody for standing in unity for Cornelius. For the ones who didn't know him, just know that he was a lovable kid. He wanted to be loved, and he was a lovable kid. And I know, just like everybody out here know, that he did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be murdered. Let me put it like that. He didn't deserve to be murdered at 16 years old by somebody who was supposed to be here to help him. So.
From the state of Michigan, being a worker. You want that? Okay. And I do have a shaky problem, so don't look. I'm not going to give, can you hear me? So I'm not going to give my name, although I have a very distinctive voice, so people probably would know it. I work for the state of Michigan. I work CPS, and I work foster care with the residential kids now, right? Can you hear me now? Okay. Since I came back to foster care from CPS, I found out some horrible, horrible things for our residential kids. Any cause that you have, whether it be LGBTQ, whether it be autism, no matter what it is, we got our kids in residentials with that. They are dressed horribly. Sorry. We pay our residentials $200 to $300 a day per kid. Can you think of that?
I believe that.
Their education, they are poorly educated, if even educated. I have one kid who's out on the street now because we don't have the time to take them out and learn their skills and get their driver's licenses and state IDs and social security cards and things like that, or take them and do anything you dad, you mom, anybody would do for their kids.
Right.
And nothing against Wolverine, but I have seen some really horrible things. I turned in a little boy, 13, said he was sexually abused by 2 other older kids. What did the state of Michigan do? Well, they sent their licensing in. They gave a corrective action. What's a corrective action when you've been raped?
Yes.
What is a corrective action when you allow that residential to leave that poor child on the same floor with their abusers? We wouldn't accept that for any single one of us. Definitely not our kids. No. 60% of girls in residential facilities sexually abused. 60% of boys in residential facilities physically abused. 43% of parents abuse their children. So what are we doing? I don't want all the kids out. I want them helped. Our residential facilities give it a 6 to 9 month program. So I have kids there 2, 3, 4 years. Physically managed. It's not normal. Your kids are home living with you. Does somebody come up to them, physically manage them for, yes, throwing a sandwich? Throwing raisins? No. So I have been writing and I've been emailing, and I'm considered crazy, per se, that Robert Gordon, Bob Weaver, look that one up. He's Mr. Spin Doctor for a long time. I sent this invite out to Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist. This goes beyond color. This goes beyond gender. This goes everywhere. That's our future. Where is he? Where is he? We got everybody here, don't we? We do. But where are they? Where's our governor?
They don't care.
It goes beyond Democrat, Republican, atheist, faith believers. It goes across every single board. If it is your passion, you will find it in the residential treatment facilities. Any questions? So, last September, with a little boy sitting in my car, 18, he's aging out. I'm about to drop him off at a place he doesn't know how to live in the community. I get a call from the governor's office. Finally, after over a year of hearing my crazy emails, letters, phone calls, you know what she says? Because you're going to like this one. Change takes time. I think Cornelius ran out of time.
Yeah.
My SACWIS computer system, that's what we work with. And that is why 90% of my time is sitting behind a desk. Less than 10% of my time, so maybe more than 90, is spent with your child, anybody's child, anybody who cares about their child. That's what our kids get. 10% of our time. 15 minutes a month per child. Did I get anybody's attention? And
Thank you so much. You want to speak?
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, good. I got a lot of stuff on. Magic, I met her on the phone. So we've been conversing back and forth. For those who don't know Magic, she's with several organizations, PAC and
Michigan Liberation.
Liberation, huh?
Michigan
Okay.
Liberation, yep.
Well, yes, appreciate her coming on board. We're all in it together, no matter what zip code we are. We're all here to fight for justice and equality, justice for Cornelius and others as well. His name would not be in vain, because we're going nationally. In fact, we already had one person, I'll just say real quick, that I met, an activist from Texas. She said she had reached out to over 40,000 people about justice for Cornelius.
That's right from Miranda. Yeah, I'll be happy.
Okay, then Miranda's had your friend, right, Miranda?
Yeah.
She has a podcast, and I met her, and she's awesome. But right now, we're going to have Mystic from Kalamazoo with the PAC organization. Magic. I keep getting it mixed up.
I can be Mystic.
I mean, the way it's spelled, it looks like Mystic. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Can I get somebody to hold this for me?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You can do it, yeah. I'm gonna probably film it too, so I'm trying not to block anything. I'll go right here.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is definitely a sombering moment as many of us were celebrating Juneteenth events yesterday, and many of us are still doing those this weekend. We have to think about a young man that wasn't able to celebrate with us, Cornelius Fredrick. As a mother of children that live in this district, it pains me every day to know that Cornelius has not gotten his justice. Even though the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has listed a statement that they were going to suspend the license of Lakeside, they need to permanently keep them from getting their license. Right now, Lakeside still has the option of appealing that. Cornelius doesn't have the option to appeal. His life is gone. So they need not to have that option as well. This is not the first time that Lakeside has had violations against them. How many more deaths? How many more violations needs to happen before this gets closed? If we want to talk about double standards, this type of action would not happen if this was apparent. This has actually happened to myself, where I was victimized by the state. It should not be where families of loved ones that want to take care of their family members, like Lisa was talking about with her grandchild, that folks are victimized. We entrust our children to the state. Actually, we have no choice, because many times that I've heard, ma'am, we're gonna have to wait for your son to get in trouble in order for us to help him. Is that the same thing that happened to Cornelius, or that thousands of children have gone through our system, where the system says we cannot help your child until they break the law or something happens?
That's backwards, isn't it?
Yes.
We should be doing preventative things. We want to militarize our schools. We want to militarize everything. I think we need to sit back, especially our law officials. We have someone from the state talking about it. We need to defund. We don't need to have police in our schools. We need to be focused on community-based services. Cornelius didn't need to be policed the way he was policed, and the result in his death. As PACT, as a board member, Promise Advocacy for Children and Community Transformation, that's what we do here in Kalamazoo. Our children don't need to be criminalized. The things that happen to our black and brown and most marginalized students through the school-to-prison pipeline is those behaviors that are curtailed by contact with student resource officers called SROs. There are a lot of people that feel that they're safe in our schools. Just like a lot of people feel that children like Cornelius need to be in facilities like Lakeside because they're not equipped to care for them. Was Lakeside equipped to care for our children? They did not care for Cornelius. And just hearing some of the horror stories that still come out of state-run and for-profit facilities has got to stop. So one of the things that we have to demand from the state is that there should not be any for-profit youth services in Michigan, let alone Kalamazoo. We need to demand transparency and accountability for those from top down. This is not about pointing fingers at any one person. This is about taking a hold of that system and dismantling it. If we are going to get justice for any of our children, this doesn't stop with you all coming out and listening to folks talk. This is about talking to your elected officials. We have elections coming up. We have the August and we have the main one in November. You need to vote. That's what I'm telling you right now. If your elected official is not talking the same language that you're talking about, they need to go. You need not to put your faith in them. Because they're already telling you right now that they're not going to be held accountable for, and they don't have your values at heart. So what I ask for you now is you retweet, you repost, hashtag Justice for Cornelius. All this came about, this all started because of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of that. I'm sick of hearing it. I've stopped watching the news. I don't need to see it anymore. Cornelius. So all I want to say is that we all have a unique opportunity to uplift the legacy and life of Cornelius Fredrick. That baby was 16 years old. Okay? I have grown children. Cornelius could have been my child. That's right. Cornelius is my child. I had a child like Cornelius in the system, but I saved him. They tried to take my baby, but I got him. It's still not all the way right because the system is messed up. You know, the state puts it on us as a community to take care of mental illness. The money was defunded. We have so many of us walking on the streets that need help. They are looked at and criminalized. And what we want to do is throw them in jail. The same way they did with Cornelius. His family wanted to keep him, but they wanted to criminalize him and put him in a facility that ended up killing him. I guess they were trying to keep the community from doing. So I beg of you, we do not need to be policed. And if this is the type of policing that we're getting for our youth, then we're going to continue to die. That school-to-prison pipeline is going to be fueled. The black and brown babies, our babies, they get there from different ways. Foster care, school, just placed there. There are many ways for them to get there. So I ask you, please do your homework, stay informed, find out who your representatives are. There is a social media package out, hashtag your governor. Tell Governor Whitmer she needs to do something about the welfare of our students at the top. She has power over this. So I ask you all leave. If you have not written anything in your cars or hashtags, to do that, because Cornelius' life is valuable. His black life mattered. Thank you.
Good. See a little butterfly from your way?
Oh, no. Ooh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So,
is there like a lineup or anything? Or?
It's Marcina.
Like her in the black?
Yep.
I can.
oh, yeah, but it just wasn't mic though. We heard you, but it wasn't like loud like the mic.
It wasn't
loud.
on. The mic wasn't on.
Speak from the heart.
Just speak
like
from the
do.
heart, Mama.
Just go from the heart.
You sure you want to hear me again?
We
yes.
sure do.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah, take the mask off for when you talk. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, you.
Honestly, I don't even know where to start. I truly don't. My grandson was here with Cornelius. He was his friend. He was a nice boy, Grandma. That's what he told me. They were friends. My grandson was placed here. He was autistic. He's 15. He's the mentality of a 10-year-old. But he loved Cornelius. Cornelius protected him. When the mean guys would come after my grandson, he would try to help. My grandson has nightmares over this. He saw what happened. He heard Cornelius screaming, I can't breathe. I made a police report 2 weeks prior to Cornelius' death. Seriously. At a doctor's home where my grandson ran to, beat up. Riot. And you know, they'll file one. I haven't heard anything yet, and they took my grandson back there. He begged, they're gonna hurt me, Grandma. They're gonna hurt me. They have a room in there, Grandma, where there's no camera. They hurt kids, Grandma. Please, Grandma, don't send me back there. But you know what? Grandma this time didn't have a choice. Let's traumatize some more kids. Seriously, let's let my grandson watch his little friend be murdered. That's what he called him, his little friend. He called him brave, though. He's brave, Grandma, but he protected him. My grandson was little, 110 pounds. Cornelius was a bigger boy. He helped my grandson. This little boy did not deserve to die at the hands of these evil, corrupt people. The Lord will call the children, he will call the children home when he is ready for them. The Lord will do that, not at the hands of some man. Grandma, he was a big man. He was screaming he couldn't breathe. And then to not know CPR. Are you kidding me? Seriously. They didn't know CPR. Honestly, from what I've gathered and heard from my grandson and others, Cornelius was never brought back, but he was put on life support. He wasn't brought back. My grandson said he saw them cover up, but he died in the cafeteria, okay? How did Cornelius get outside with a white sheet before the paramedics came? You know what? Then they swept all this under the rug too. I was aware of it. I tried getting it out there, but no one will listen to me. They don't care. Nobody cares. I've written Gretchen Whitmore I don't know how many times. No response. I'll deal with that later. But, you know, when the rest of the residents found out that Cornelius was taken off life support, okay? There was a major riot at this facility. But all the news crews didn't want to write about that.
That's right.
They wanted to write about this little black boy that was just murdered.
Yep.
And keep that on the news for 2 or 3 days. What about the riots? What about all that was going on after the fact? M-Live left. She said to me, oh, I wondered when I was leaving why 5 or 6 cop cars were flying in. You know what? I got another call. Lisa, your grandson's here. He's shaking. He's with an employee and another student. They're terrified. They're on my back porch. They ran to my house. They're shooting tear gas over.
They're throwing the little bomb things. What the hell is wrong with these people? Are you kidding me? This is sick.
Heck.
Sweep that shit under the rug, though. Don't let the media know that there's now a riot because these poor kids that love Cornelius are upset because now he's dead.
They're not recording,
because
y'all.
of their hands.
The media's not recording.
Cameras are down.
And you know what? I pray you burn in hell. Whoever done this to Cornelius.
Local media cameras are down. They're not recording any of this.
That's right. Nope. All right.
Well, he's.
He might be looking at me. Let's look at him. How you do?
Oh my God.
So this cause kind of gets home to me for several reasons. I spent a few times in like short-term residential facilities. I am also autistic, like her grandson, and I have spent a lot of time in and out of different places, not Lakeside specifically, but and when I heard about Cornelius and how he died, it's so hard because that happened to me. That could have been me. That could have been my brother, who also has a lot of anger issues and ODD and all of these things. And to know that the ones who don't, like the ones who aren't, killed, murdered, we have to live with the trauma of being sat on by a grown man or woman until we're crying out that we can't breathe, and we have to live with that. And I think that it's ridiculous that these facilities keep getting away with it. All of the places that I went to were for-profit facilities and schools. And I actually didn't tell anyone, but this is my first time like announcing this to the public. It was my first time yesterday telling my own mother about it.
Thank you for being brave.
And to know that it could be anyone, not just me. There are still kids who live in these places who are being pushed aside and held down and brutalized for for a sandwich? Really? And I don't even care if he was getting into a fight with someone or something. I don't care if someone started burning the school down. You don't kill a child. You don't kill a fucking child. I don't have much else to say. I just wanted to let y'all know that this isn't an isolated incident. This happened to me 12 years ago. It happened to me 5 years ago. It happened to my brother 2 years ago. This isn't just Lakeside. It's across the country, it's across the state, across the city. And it hurts even more to know that I know a lot of very well-meaning people in my life think that Kalamazoo is sort of like this weird utopia where this shit doesn't happen.
Sure is not.
And I tell them like, hey, this happened to me, this happened to my family, and they're like, oh, that was like once every 20 years or something. No, it just happened again, and this time it costed someone's life. And I'm tired of seeing that happen. Thank you, that's all.
I have a question for you. A question for you, because I already know, yeah. Huh? Just a question. How much does a CPS worker get for taking one child?
It's not it. That's not it. Everybody thinks that's it. It's not.
10
but if
grand?
CPS, no, we don't get anything. Everybody thinks we get some extra money.
It's on,
I work both. I know you
it's
think
on,
that.
there's a law that was passed
I'll tell
years
you,
ago.
it's not-
They get thousands of dollars back. For taking one child, take 5.
Okay.
Google it.
I don't have to.
Michigan.gov. CPS workers and what they get for a child.
We drove up here from Southfield, Michigan. We know justice for Cornelius will never happen. But what we have to do it starts spelling race. Not black or white, but let the word race mean real activism mean something. Stand for something, black and white people. Real activism serves everyone. When I look out here, I see ladies in burqas, I see black people, I see white people standing for justice.
That's right.
And this is how justice happens. And what we gotta understand, race has no party. Race has no, I live in a Democratic city, Southfield, Michigan. They just murdered a baby. Tased a young lady because she was acting negretically, and they tased her in the belly. Now you know if a shot goes through your whole body, why would you tase a pregnant woman and 10 minutes later she has a miscarriage? What is the matter with America? What is the matter with America? We're not together. But today, if we all stand together, we're gonna get justice. And it can't just happen in Kalamazoo, it's gotta happen all over Michigan.
That's right.
If you can kill a fetus, kill a young man crying for air over a sandwich, believe me, justice for Cornelius is all the way. Marcia got it talking all down in Detroit. And the next one for Cornelius will be even bigger. We can no longer be divided is all I'm saying. Spell race like we spell it. Let it mean something. Don't let race mean color. Right. But let it stand for real activism serves everyone. We spelt it wrong on purpose. Let this young man grow up playing with all minorities of children. We got to make a change today, people, because that young lady, no matter what her mental illness allowed her to do, didn't mean she had to lose her baby. She didn't have to lose her baby. For 3 grown men to not be able to restrain a 20-year-old woman and then taser her in the belly. Where's our investigative reporters at?
Right.
We don't even have strong investigative reporters no more because they covering up for the state of Michigan.
Yep. That's right.
They're covering up. Believe me, I live in a city with Fox 2 and Channel 7. We got the most corrupt city in the state right now. Stand together, people. And I tell you, we got one of the best men who has been beat down.
Yep.
Drugged through the mud, locked up, won his cases. I followed this man. An example of how corrupt this system is. We must stand together if we're gonna really have justice for Cornelius, justice for that lady's baby that never even seen daylight. I am passionate about looking around and seeing such a beautiful rainbow of people. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I want her to read something real fast.
Hello, I'm with All Race and Life Matter. Our founder, you just heard from him. I hate following him. But I did want to share his mission. And it's true. We did spell race incorrectly on purpose. Real activism should serve everyone.
That's right.
Before COVID and after, we should all be in it together. Right? Our mission is when all faith-based organizations, human rights organizations, media outlets, corporations, unions, and small businesses come together, outspoken people of all races with the same common goal, we can achieve the American dream. We cannot achieve these goals without good judges, lawyers, prosecutors, law enforcement, and our elected officials working with us. All organizations should stand together to show real inclusion and diversity in order to bring equal justice and equal rights, to show that it is a human right to end hunger, to have affordable housing, a right to an education without bullying or gun violence in the schools, to protect the disabled and handicapped by ensuring reasonable accommodations, to protect our seniors and veterans, to protect the rights of the LGBTQ community from bullying, harassment, and intimidation in our schools, workplace, and communities, protecting our environment, affordable and clean drinking water, affordable health care, good union-paying jobs with benefits without worrying about bullying, sexual harassment, or gun violence in the workplace. Stop illegal deportation. Stop police harassment and brutality. The right to freedom of speech and the right to assemble to assure these human rights for all people. Huge, huge mission, but we stand by it. I probably shouldn't mention this, but to show you how committed Mr. Harris is today, he did go to bed last night with something heavy on his heart, woke up this morning and found out that his brother had just passed away. But rather than being with family where he knows they're supported, he's here for Cornelius. Because we know that Cornelius is our little boy too. And for our organization, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if Cornelius was black, or green, or purple. He was our little boy. At 16, wanting to be a counselor, God could only know how great of a person he could have been to help other kids who had gone through his journey. People who experience those things are the best people to help others get through those experiences.
Exactly.
The fact that these people did not know CPR, to hear that is like an educator not knowing how to use a book.
There was a nurse present. She just didn't give CPR.
That's even worse. That just means she just gives.
They were all trained in CPR.
So with that being said, I'm glad that we came here today, because what we did was expand our families. One of the best pictures I took today was watching a cute little blonde kid hold a sign that said Black Lives Matter. We all matter. COVID just showed us that we're supposed to know it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just so everybody knows, it's reported in the news and the MDHHS report that they waited 12 minutes after the restraint before calling 911.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Emma and I'm here today on behalf of the Troubled Podcast. We're a podcast that is made for survivors of institutional abuse, by survivors of institutional abuse, and I promise we don't want to take up too much space here. We just wanted to provide a little bit of the historical context behind the troubled teen industry. So these are some words from my sister Miranda. She does the podcast with me, and I just want to share them. Greetings, Kalamazoo. Thank you for the opportunity to vocalize our solidarity with you and for our stolen brother, Cornelius Fredrick. We will attempt to keep this brief, like I said. We represent a global community of survivors of institutional abuse who have been activating since the 90s to expose and eradicate this toxic open secret plaguing the past and present of our peers and our youth. We created the Troubled Podcast as an inclusive platform to raise awareness and advocate against our own abusers. The colloquial catchphrase kids in cages has finally reached the average American dinner table in conversation, but in truth, kids in cages is exactly who we are in America. In fact, even before the states were united, they were united in their morally self-righteous crusade to mass abduct and detain indigenous children during assimilation, which still continues today in so-called residential treatment programs. And that's where the story of residential treatment programs begins in our country. Abducting Native children from their home and depriving them of their culture, their sense of identity. Not one single generation of Native people that we have talked to has not been plagued by these institutions. If this sounds like ancient history, please hear this. The last residential school for the indigenous closed in 1996. 1996. Still, to this day, tribal councils funneled orphan, foster, traumatized, and troubled children into residential programs within the troubled teen industry through their toxic relationship with the state. We have never, and this is happening to black families too. The state is abducting their children. They are trafficking them into for-profit institutions that are murdering and abusing them. People are making millions of dollars on the backs of kids like me, too. Cornelius was my brother, and I know you spoke about that, too. It's very painful to talk about this stuff. Kids who are different, kids who are black, kids who are gay, they get thrown into these institutions. Private, you can go through foster care, your own parents can send you. You're deprived of the right to communicate with the outside world. You're deprived of your basic human rights. You have less rights than an incarcerated adult in American prisons as a kid in these child prisons. Sorry, that was off Maria's words. Please hop on YouTube to view the dozens of hours of congressional testimony since 2007 where the GAO investigates abuse, torture, murder, and fraud within residential programs for youth. The government is completely aware of the abuses and deaths in these programs. That's why they created HR 3024, the Stop Child Abuse in Residential Program for Teen Act, as soon as the hearings began. It is currently under Adam Schiff and has sat stagnant for a decade. That is why it is imperative that the passion and traction demanding justice for Cornelius Fredrick be as determined and consistent as the government's willful and deliberate disregard for the destinies of our youth. We are up against generations of corruption, yet the cost is higher for us. In 2006, Martin Lee Anderson was murdered by Florida deputies in a state-run boot camp 2 hours into his stay, on camera. Even with the NAACP behind his family and a full documentary, there were no actual charges, no actual arrests. The initial autopsy blamed his death on a sickle cell trait complication. The second autopsy revealed he was suffocated with ammonia. The nursing gang of deputies continued being entrusted with our children, even though there are 30 minutes on YouTube that prove they are murderers. Systemic racism, victim blamed Martin by labeling him a juvenile delinquent. Even if he weren't just another black kid criminal, he would have been thrown in there. If he hadn't collapsed from running in the heat, they wouldn't have had to beat him or sit on him or suffocate him with ammonia. In truth, Martin Lee Anderson was at that boot camp because he and his cousins borrowed his grandmother's car without permission to go buy candy. Since when was that a death sentence in America? When Cedric Napoleon Price, an 8th grade foster boy in Killeen, Texas, who had PTSD from foraging for food in his siblings' trash cans before the state removed them, was re-traumatized by a sadistic special ed teacher who routinely denied him food and then was sat on to death in front of his classmates, there was no justice. The coroner declared this a homicide. His traumatized students testified for him before a Texas grand jury, yet neither he nor the teacher nor the aides were charged or had their licenses revoked. Today we gather because another young man has been murdered for merely throwing a sandwich. Again, the taxpayers are complicit in behavior that feed them into mass incarceration if it happened in their own homes. We cannot allow this tragedy to be placated and pushed down by any who would choose profit, comfort, or blatant ignorance over truth and justice. Never forget that the Christian Law Association and politicians like Mitt Romney and Mel Sembler directly profit from the ownership of TTI. There are hundreds of cases to peruse. We employ you to know your adversary. There is no justice. There has been no justice. I hope that changes.
Clap for it. Clap. We're going to get started with the caravan and with the markers and all that other good stuff. So, she's going to be the lead person. She lives here. I don't. Okay. So, anyway, so how are we going to do this as far as decorating the vehicles right now? We're going to head downtown. Huh?
We can't hear you.
Put the mic closer. Yeah.
This way?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, louder.
Okay. Sorry.
Beautiful.
Yes. So we're going to be lining up. She's going to be heading the, she's going to be the leader of the caravan. We're going to have markers. And if you have signs that you want to put on there, on your vehicles, and we're going to head downtown and let her speak. Thank you so much. It was very, I tell you, empowering to hear so many stories, personal stories. We're going to what went on
down there. Grab that big sign.
Personal cases. Cornelius case, people that knew him personally. I'm touched by it too. We're all touched by it because he was family. And like Pam said, he was family, just like all of us at this support. So thank you so much.
It's support.
I've got all this stuff looking like Darth Vader for this COVID-19.
Please, just for today, don't put it in your pocket.
I've always been in Harvard. He's always supportive of me when I do events in the Detroit area. He has my back, and I even got him some free Lysol. I brought all the way from here. And his wife, Dorothy Pinckney. I love her. We're sisters and brothers, and my friend Keith that I roll with.
It's okay.
He's excellent. He's the one started years ago about, this thing's real quick, about insurance. About police paying for insurance. And now they're talking about it. I said, Keith, you better run with it because they're going to take your idea and claim it. He said he's not worried about it, but he's always had ingenious ideals. And so he's implementing this about race, and I appreciate him letting me ride in the back seat. So we're going to get started as far as the decorating, and thank you so much. It's a good day. It wasn't a rainy day. And I appreciate each and every one of you for continuously fighting. We're all one in the struggle. Thank you so much. Okay.
All right, stay tuned, y'all. We get ready to
one more thing.
decorate our vehicles and drive off to Go Road.
I just want to say, Jackie Miller, she's from Ann Arbor, and she's done so much for me, but always got my back. If it wasn't for her, I've still been sleeping in the bed. Thank you so much, Jackie, for coming out from Ann Arbor. When you work hard, you say what you're going to do, you come out there for Reverend Pinckney, me, and others as well. I appreciate each and every one of you, and Magic too. So thank you so much, and so we're she wants to line up everybody.
Okay, yeah, I'll announce it right quick.
Okay.
Right, Brown.
Thank you.
Are just the markers over here? Thank you. All right, for everyone that wants to participate in the vehicle procession, if you would like to decorate your windows, we have markers over here so that you can do that. Also on the side street, there are markers as well. If you like to if you parked across the street, there are markers as well. You all can follow me. I am in silver car. We are going, since Oakland is closed, we're going to go down Bronson Boulevard and take that route. So just in case we get separated, that's the route we'll be going down that way. So thank you all and be safe.
All right.
Thank you. All right, y'all.